Stop! We have something to tell everyone! 8-year-old Maya's voice rang through the elegant ballroom of the Hartford Country Club, cutting through the holiday music. Champagne glasses suspended in mid-toast, conversations halted. 200 pairs of eyes turned toward the small girl standing on a chair near the orchestra. Her twin brother Marcus stood beside her, holding a tablet computer with trembling hands. Their father, James Sullivan, a prominent cardiologist at Hartford Hospital, looked confused from across the room. But it was the woman beside him, his new wife Victoria, whose face drained of all color. The twins' mother, Dr. Denise Sullivan, had vanished 7 months ago. Victoria had told everyone she had abandoned her family for another man 9 months ago. But the twins had just discovered their mother's hidden journal, and the video confession inside it would destroy Victoria's carefully constructed lies in front of Hartford's entire elite society. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Mama would never leave without hugging us goodbye. Maya Sullivan sat cross-legged on her lavender bedspread, her dark braids falling over the photo album in her lap. Her brown skin glowed in the afternoon light streaming through the window of their West Hartford home. She doesn't even look sad in these pictures, Marcus observed, adjusting his glasses as he leaned over his sister's shoulder. His complexion matched their mother's, a rich mahogany, while Maya had inherited a slightly lighter tone. Both children had their mother's intelligent eyes and their father's stubborn chin. Look at Thanksgiving last year. She's laughing with Grandma Rose. The photograph showed Denise Sullivan, a successful psychiatrist with warm brown skin and natural curls, embracing her mother-in-law while the twins made silly faces in the background. James Sullivan stood behind his wife, his pale Irish complexion flushed with happiness, his arm wrapped protectively around her waist. Dad says she needed time away from us, Maya's voice cracked. But Mama always said we were her heartbeat. Why would she leave her heartbeat behind? 7 months had passed since their mother disappeared from their Victorian home in West Hartford, Connecticut. 7 months of their father's hollow explanations, of whispered conversations at school, of pitying glances from neighbors who thought they knew what had happened. I heard Mrs. Patterson tell the mailman that we were that abandoned family, Marcus said quietly, his memory capturing the exact words and tone. She said our mother probably ran off with some man from her hospital. Maya's small hands curled into fists. Mama loved Daddy. She loved us. Something happened to her. The twins' bedroom reflected their distinct personalities. Maya's side featured art supplies, dance trophies, and posters of Misty Copeland. Marcus's side held science books organized by subject, a telescope positioned by his window, and a chess set frozen mid-game that he had been playing against himself for weeks. A gentle knock interrupted their conversation. Ms. Ernestine Howard, their live-in housekeeper who had been with the Sullivan family for 12 years, entered with fresh towels balanced on her arm. Your father called. He'll be home in 30 minutes, and he's bringing a guest for dinner. Her Caribbean accent wrapped around the words with familiar warmth, but her eyes showed concern. A lady friend, he said. The twins exchanged alarmed glances. What kind of lady friend? Maya asked, her voice rising with worry. Ms. Ernestine's lips pressed together in a thin line. He didn't say. But I've set the formal dining room. After she left, the twins stared at each other with the silent communication only twins possess. An entire conversation passed between them without a single word spoken. Mama's been gone 7 months, Marcus said slowly, breaking the silence, and Daddy's already bringing a woman home. We need to watch her carefully, Maya decided, her jaw setting with determination. Take notes on everything she does and says. 45 minutes later, the twins sat rigidly at the mahogany dining table, wearing their Sunday clothes despite it being a regular Tuesday evening. Their father entered first, still in his hospital scrubs, looking more alive than he had in months. His blue eyes, usually dulled by grief, sparkled with something the children hadn't seen since before their mother disappeared. Maya, Marcus, I want you to meet someone special. This is Victoria Ashford. The woman who glided into the dining room was striking, tall, with perfectly styled auburn hair, flawless makeup, and a cream designer dress that probably cost more than Ms. Ernestine's monthly salary. She smiled brilliantly, her teeth impossibly white, her posture elegant as a dancer's. "Oh my goodness, look at you two precious angels," Victoria exclaimed, pressing her manicured hands to her chest. "James has told me absolutely everything about you. Maya, the little dancer, and Marcus, the young scientist. How wonderful to finally meet you both." The twins remained silent, studying her with the intense focus of children who have learned to be suspicious of adult promises. "How did you know which one of us is which?" Marcus asked. "Most people can't tell us apart. Your father described you both so perfectly," Victoria said smoothly, her smile never wavering. "Maya has that creative spark in her eyes, and Marcus has that thoughtful, analytical look. Am I right?" Something in her delivery felt rehearsed to Marcus. He filed this observation away in his mental notebook. During dinner, Victoria asked questions about the house, their father's medical practice, the artwork on the walls, and the antique furniture. She barely touched her food, but her eyes noted everything of value. She complimented the crystal chandelier, inquired about the Persian rug, and admired the silver candlesticks that had been in their mother's family for generations. "This Romar beard and print must be worth a fortune," she commented, gesturing toward the dining room wall. "And is that an original Tiffany lamp in the living room?" "It was Denise's," James said, his voice catching slightly. "She loved collecting African American art. She always said it was important for our children to see beauty that reflected their heritage." For just a moment, so brief the adults missed it, Victoria's smile flickered with something cold. But the twins, watching intently, caught it. They caught everything. After dinner, James sent the children upstairs while he walked Victoria to her car. The twins crept to the staircase landing, positioning themselves where they could hear the conversation drifting from the front porch through the open foyer window. "She's been gone 7 months, James." Victoria's voice carried through the still evening air. "At some point, you have to accept that she chose to leave. You deserve happiness again." "I still love her," James admitted. "But you're right. The children need stability. They need normalcy. They need a mother figure," Victoria said firmly. "Someone who can guide them properly. Someone who can help you build a new life." The twins retreated to Maya's room, their small faces set with determination. "She looked at Daddy's paintings like she was pricing them for an auction," Maya whispered, "and she only smiled when Daddy was watching." When he looked away, her whole face changed. Marcus pulled out a composition notebook, the beginning of their investigation log. He wrote carefully at the top of the first page, "The Victoria Investigation." "I don't trust her," he wrote beneath the heading. "Subject displays inconsistent emotional responses, shows excessive interest in valuable items, appears to have researched our family before meeting us." "What if she knows something about Mama?" Maya asked suddenly, the thought hitting her like a physical blow. "What if Mama didn't leave? What if something bad happened to her?" Marcus looked at his sister, both of them arriving at the same terrifying possibility at the same moment. Their twin connections sparked with shared understanding. "We need to find out the truth," Maya said, "whatever it takes." Chapter 2. Over the following weeks, Victoria became a constant presence in the Sullivan household. She arrived with gifts for the twins, designer clothes in sizes too small, books meant for toddlers, and a massive dollhouse for Maya despite the girls' clear preference for dance and art. "Thank you," Maya said politely each time, immediately storing the unwanted gifts in her closet without a second glance. Victoria also began rearranging things. First, small items moved, a vase here, a photograph there. Then, larger changes appeared without consultation or explanation. The African art in the living room was replaced with generic landscapes from a department store. Denise's medical journals were boxed and moved to the garage. Family photographs featuring the twins' mother gradually disappeared from shelves and walls. "Where's Mama's picture?" Marcus demanded one Saturday morning, pointing to the empty space above the fireplace where their parents' wedding portrait had hung for 8 years. Victoria smiled that practiced smile, the one that never quite reached her eyes. "Darling, it was making your father sad. I put it somewhere safe where it won't upset him." Maya found the portrait later that afternoon, stuffed in a garbage bag in the garage, along with dozens of other photographs of her mother. She rescued what she could, hiding the pictures in her bedroom closet beneath her winter sweaters. "She's erasing Mama," Maya told her brother that night, tears streaming down her face, like she was never here, like she never existed. We need evidence, Marcus replied grimly, something that we can show Daddy. But every time they tried to talk to their father, Victoria appeared, redirecting the conversation or dismissing their concerns as adjustment difficulties. Children process grief in strange ways, she told James within earshot of the twins. They're projecting their pain onto me because I'm an easy target. Perhaps they need professional therapy. James, exhausted from his demanding cardiology practice and overwhelmed by single parenthood, began deferring more and more decisions to Victoria. It was easier to let her handle things. It was easier to believe she had the children's best interests at heart. 6 weeks after her first appearance, James gathered the twins in the living room. Victoria sat beside him on the new white sofa, her hand possessively covering his. "I've asked Victoria to marry me," James announced, and she said yes. Marcus and Maya sat frozen, unable to speak. "But it's only been 2 months since you met Victoria," Marcus calculated aloud, his voice shaking. "And it's been 8 months since Mama disappeared. How can you replace her so quickly?" "Your mother made her choice," Victoria interrupted, her voice sharp before softening. "I know this is hard, darlings, but your father deserves to be happy, and I'm going to take such good care of all of you." She leaned toward the twins, her smile fixed in place, and whispered just quietly enough that only they could hear. "Things are going to change around here, and you two will learn to behave properly." The wedding happened 3 weeks later, a small ceremony at the Hartford Country Club with only James's colleagues and Victoria's few friends in attendance. The twins served as flower girl and ring bearer, their faces expressionless throughout the ceremony. "Smile," Victoria hissed at them during the photographs. "People are watching. You're making me look bad." Maya forced her lips upward into something that resembled a smile. Marcus stared directly into the camera with accusing eyes that would haunt the wedding photos forever. That night, after the reception, Victoria dismissed Ms. Ernestine early and sent the twins to bed without dessert. Through their bedroom wall, they heard her talking on the phone, her voice low but still audible through the old house's thin walls. "Phase 1 is complete," Victoria said with satisfaction. "The fool believes everything I tell him. The accounts will be transferred next week." The twins pressed their ears against the wall, recording every word in their investigation notebook. "No, those brats are still a problem," Victoria continued. "But I found the perfect boarding school in Switzerland. They accept children starting at 8 years old. Very exclusive, very remote. They'll be gone by February and I'll have full control of everything." "Switzerland," Maya mouthed silently, her eyes wide with fear. "By January, they'll be out of my hair," Victoria laughed. "James is so desperate for love, he doesn't question anything I say or do. It's almost too easy." The next morning, Marcus and Maya called an emergency meeting with Ms. Ernestine, pulling her into the laundry room where Victoria never ventured. "We heard her on the phone," Maya explained urgently. "She's planning to send us away to Switzerland and take Daddy's money." She called it Phase 1. Ms. Ernestine's face hardened with recognition. "I knew something was wrong with that woman from the first moment I laid eyes on her. She reminded me of a mongoose circling a chicken coop, all patience and sweetness until she strikes." She pulled the twins closer and lowered her voice to barely a whisper. "I've been saving your mother's things, hiding them from Victoria. There's a box in my quarters with some of Dr. Denise's belongings, including her personal tablet computer that I found hidden behind the washing machine the day after she disappeared." "Mama's tablet?" Marcus asked excitedly. "Why would it be hidden there?" "I don't know, child, but I charged it, and it still works. Password protected, though. I didn't want to try too many combinations and lock it permanently." Maya and Marcus exchanged determined glances. They knew their mother's passwords. She had always used variations of their names and birthdays, telling them it was because they were the most important things in her life. "Can we see it?" Maya asked. "Please, Ms. Ernestine, it might help us find out what really happened to Mama." The housekeeper looked toward the door, then nodded slowly. "Tonight, after Victoria goes to that charity planning meeting she's been bragging about. Your father has surgery until late. We'll have 3 hours. That evening, with Victoria safely gone and their father at Hartford Hospital performing an emergency bypass surgery, the twins gathered in Ms. Ernestine's small apartment attached to the main house. The tablet powered on, displaying a photo of Denise Sullivan hugging her children on a beach vacation 2 summers ago. Maya's eyes filled with tears at the sight of her mother's smile. Maya tried the first password combination. Maya Marcus 2016, their birth year. Incorrect. Marcus suggested Sullivan twins Odo 601, their birthday of June 1st. Access granted. The tablet opened to reveal dozens of folders with cryptic names. One folder near the top was labeled Insurance Policy. Read if something happens to me. Maya's finger trembled as she tapped it. A video file appeared. When Marcus pressed play, their mother's face filled the screen. She looked frightened, with dark circles under her eyes and a bruise visible on her left cheekbone that she had clearly tried to cover with makeup. If you're watching this, something has happened to me. Denise's voice was hushed, urgent, her eyes darting toward an unseen door. I pray it's the twins who found this, or Ms. Ernestine. Please, please don't let James see this until you have proof of everything I'm about to tell you. Maya grabbed her brother's hand, squeezing tight. A woman named Victoria Ashford has been following me for months, Denise continued. I discovered she's connected to a series of financial crimes targeting wealthy widowers. She researches her victims carefully, learning everything about their assets, their families, their vulnerabilities. I found evidence linking her to at least 3 suspicious deaths in other states. Marcus paused the video, his hands shaking uncontrollably. Mama knew, he whispered. She knew Victoria was dangerous. Keep watching, Maya urged, wiping tears from her face. We need to hear everything. I confronted Victoria 3 days ago, Denise's recorded voice continued. She threatened me. She said if I told anyone she would hurt my children. She would make sure something terrible happened to my babies. Denise's eyes filled with tears on the screen. I'm trying to gather more evidence before going to the police, but I'm scared. I think she's drugged me once already. I lost 12 hours last Tuesday with no memory of what happened. The recording shifted, Denise moving closer to the camera. My babies, if you're watching this, Mama never left you. Never. I would never abandon my heartbeat. Victoria is dangerous. She's working with someone, a man. I've seen her meeting with him. Find the evidence I've hidden. It's in the secret room behind my closet. I built it years ago when your father and I first moved in. The panel slides if you push on the left side. Everything you need is there. I love you more than life itself. Never forget that. The video ended. The twins sat in stunned silence, tears streaming down both their faces. Mama didn't leave us, Maya whispered finally, her voice breaking. She was trying to protect us. Miss Ernestine crossed herself. Lord have mercy. We need to call the police right now. Wait, Marcus said, his analytical mind working despite his grief. If we call the police without solid evidence, Victoria might talk her way out of it. She's too smart, too prepared. We need to find what Mama hid in that secret room first. That woman is dangerous, Ms. Ernestine protested. You heard what your mother said, and she's living in our house, Maya replied firmly. If we don't find the evidence, she might hurt Daddy next. You heard her say phase 1. What do you think phase 2 is? Ms. Ernestine's face went pale as the implications sank in. We have 1 month until Christmas, Marcus calculated. Victoria mentioned January for sending us away to Switzerland. We have until then to find Mama's evidence, prove Victoria is a criminal, and save our family. Maya squared her small shoulders with determination beyond her years. Then we better start looking. If you're enjoying the story so far, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates. Chapter 3. The twins developed a systematic search strategy over the following days. While Victoria attended her charity planning meetings and social events, they explored every corner of their home, working to reach the master bedroom closet where their mother had hidden her evidence. Ms. Ernestine served as their lookout, developing an elaborate signal system. Humming Amazing Grace meant Victoria was approaching. Wade in the water meant the coast was clear. Swing low, Sweet Chariot meant danger was imminent. The main challenge was the master bedroom. Victoria had claimed it entirely as her domain, installing a new lock and forbidding the children from entering. She kept the key on a chain around her neck at all times. How are we supposed to get in there? Maya asked one evening as they reviewed their plans. Marcus had been thinking about this problem for days. She takes the key off when she showers. Ms. Ernestine said she showers every night at exactly 8 o'clock for exactly 20 minutes. That's our window. But how do we get the key? It's in the bathroom with her. Ms. Ernestine delivers fresh towels every evening at 8:15, Marcus explained. She can grab the key from the counter while Victoria is in the shower, pass it to us, then return it when she collects the dirty towels at 8:30. That gives us only 15 minutes, Maya calculated. 15 minutes to find a secret room, search it, and get what we need. Marcus nodded gravely. We have to be fast. They executed their plan 3 nights later. At exactly 8 o'clock, Victoria entered the master bathroom. At 8:15, Ms. Ernestine delivered towels and emerged with the key hidden in her apron pocket. At 8:16, the twins slipped into the master bedroom. The room had changed dramatically since Victoria moved in. Their mother's feminine touches were gone, replaced by cold, expensive furniture and large mirrors. Perfume bottles and makeup covered every surface. The closet, Maya whispered, pointing. They entered the walk-in closet, now filled with Victoria's designer clothes. Maya ran her hands along the left wall, searching for the panel their mother had described. Nothing, she said, frustrated. I can't find it. Marcus studied the wall carefully. Wait, look at this section. The wood pattern doesn't match perfectly. He pressed on the left side of the panel, and to their astonishment, it slid sideways, revealing a narrow doorway. Mama's secret room, Maya breathed. They squeezed through the opening into a small, windowless room, perhaps 6 feet by 8 feet. The air smelled musty, like old paper. Documents covered a wooden desk against one wall. File boxes lined the floor in neat stacks. Photographs were pinned to a corkboard, connected by red strings like a detective's investigation board. Marcus pulled out his phone and began taking pictures of everything, working systematically while Maya searched through the documents. Look at this, Maya whispered urgently. Photographs of Victoria meeting with a gray-haired man, bank records showing wire transfers from different accounts, newspaper clippings about suspicious deaths. She spread the clippings across the desk: Boston, Philadelphia, Atlanta. All wealthy men who had married women matching Victoria's description shortly before their deaths. Oh my God, Maya whispered. She's done this before. Multiple times. Marcus found a folder near the bottom of the pile, thicker than the others. Thomas Ashford, he read aloud. Victoria's maiden name is Ashford. This was her first husband. Died in a car accident 18 months after their wedding. She inherited everything. Michael Brennan in Boston, a successful real estate developer, dead of an apparent heart attack at 42. David Winfred in Philadelphia, a tech entrepreneur, drowned in his own swimming pool. William Foster in Atlanta. All successful men, all dead within 2 years of marrying women who later disappeared. All their money gone. Victoria isn't just a gold digger, Marcus said, his voice shaking with the weight of their discovery. She's a killer. But what happened to Mama? Maya asked, her voice breaking. Did Victoria? Maya picked up a document near the bottom of the pile, a psychiatric commitment order. Her heart stopped when she saw the patient name, Denise Williams. The admission date was exactly 1 week after their mother had supposedly left. This is dated the day after Mama disappeared. Maya's voice cracked with emotion. Hartford Psychiatric Institute. Victoria had her committed to a mental hospital under a fake name. She's alive, Marcus breathed, tears springing to his eyes. Mama's alive and we know where she is. From the bedroom, they heard the bathroom door open. Victoria was done with her shower. We have to go now, Maya hissed. Take everything important. They grabbed the commitment papers, the photographs, and the folder on Victoria's previous victims. Marcus slid the panel closed behind them, and they raced out of the bedroom just as Victoria emerged from the bathroom in her silk robe. What are you two doing in my room? Victoria's voice was ice cold. Maya thought fast. We were looking for Daddy. We wanted to say goodnight. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Your father is working late. Again. Go to your room and stay there. The twins hurried down the hallway, the precious documents hidden beneath Marcus's sweater. Behind them, they heard Victoria muttering to herself as she checked her closet. That was close, Maya whispered when they reached their bedroom. Too close, Marcus agreed. But now we have proof, real proof. Now we need a plan to expose her, Maya said. Somewhere she can't explain it away. Somewhere everyone will see. The Christmas Eve gala, Marcus realized. Everyone important in Hartford will be there. Daddy's colleagues, the hospital board, even the police. That's in 2 weeks, Maya said. 2 weeks to prepare, Marcus agreed. 2 weeks to save Mama and Daddy. We can do this. The next 2 weeks were the longest of the twins' young lives. They continued to act normally, pretending to accept Victoria as their new stepmother while secretly preparing for the Christmas Eve revelation. Ms. Ernestine helped them scan all the documents and create digital backups stored on a USB drive and uploaded to a secure cloud account. Victoria grew increasingly suspicious. She watched the twins constantly, installed monitoring software on their school tablets, and restricted their time with Ms. Ernestine. New house rules, she announced one evening. No talking to the housekeeper except about chores. No using electronics without supervision. No closed doors. She knows something, Maya whispered to Marcus that night. She's trying to isolate us. Only 2 more weeks, Marcus reminded her. We just have to hold on. 1 week before Christmas, Victoria made her move. James, darling, she said over dinner, I've been thinking about the children's education. These local schools simply aren't challenging enough for such bright children. James looked up from his meal. What do you suggest? Victoria produced a glossy brochure. Alpine Academy in Switzerland, one of the finest boarding schools in the world. I've already submitted applications. They're willing to accept the twins for the January term. The twins froze, their forks suspended over their plates. Switzerland? James frowned. That seems extreme. They're only 8. They accept students starting at 8, Victoria said smoothly. And frankly, James, the children need more structure than we can provide. You work such long hours, and I have my charity obligations. It's not fair to them to be raised by servants. Ms. Ernestine is not a servant, Maya said hotly. She's family. Victoria's smile tightened. You see, James, this is exactly the disrespect I'm talking about. They need proper discipline. I'll think about it, James said, but his tone suggested he was already being convinced. That night, the twins heard Victoria on the phone again. The boarding school is confirmed, she said. Once those brats are gone, we move to phase 2. James will have his accident right after the new year. Everyone will think it's grief. The poor widower, losing his wife and then his own life so tragically. The twins looked at each other, their faces pale with terror. Phase 2 is killing Daddy, Maya whispered. We can't wait. For Christmas Eve, Marcus realized. But we don't have another option. The gala is the only place where enough important people will be gathered. Then we have to make sure our plan is perfect, Maya said with determination. We only get one chance. Chapter 4. Christmas Eve arrived with snow falling softly on West Hartford. The Sullivan home had been transformed by professional decorators, all Victoria's choice, all impersonal and expensive. The twins' homemade ornaments had been replaced with designer crystal. Their mother's traditional Kwanzaa candles were nowhere to be seen. The gala would be held at the Hartford Country Club, where Victoria had arranged everything to showcase her perfect society wife persona. 200 guests were expected, including Hartford's mayor, the hospital board, James's colleagues, and importantly, Detective Angela Morrison. Detective Morrison was a family friend. Their mother had treated her daughter for anxiety years ago, and the detective had always been kind to the Sullivan children. She was their best hope. As the family prepared to leave for the gala, Victoria inspected the twins with cold eyes. They wore matching formal outfits, Maya in a red velvet dress, Marcus in a tiny tuxedo. You will smile, Victoria instructed. You will be polite. You will not speak unless spoken to. And if you embarrass me in front of these people, I will make sure you never see your father again. Do you understand me? Yes, Victoria, the twins said in unison, their faces blank masks hiding their determination. Hidden in Marcus's jacket pocket was a USB drive containing all the evidence. Hidden in Maya's purse was their mother's tablet, charged and ready. The Hartford Country Club glittered with Christmas lights and decorations. A massive tree dominated the ballroom, and a string orchestra played holiday classics. Guests in formal attire mingled with champagne glasses, admiring Victoria's elaborate arrangements. Isn't it beautiful? Victoria said to James, gesturing at the transformed ballroom. I wanted everything to be perfect. It's spectacular, James agreed, looking at his wife with admiration. You've outdone yourself. The twins circulated through the crowd, searching for Detective Morrison's familiar face. They found her near the bar, wearing a festive green dress and speaking with the hospital's chief administrator. "Detective Morrison," Maya approached politely. "Could we talk to you about something? In private? It's very important." Morrison's warm smile faltered as she noticed the children's tense expressions. "Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong?" Before Maya could answer, Victoria appeared, her smile sharp as a blade. "Girls, you should be circulating with your father," she said smoothly, her grip on Maya's shoulder painfully tight. "The children's table is in the corner." "Actually, I'd love to catch up with them," Morrison said, her detective instincts clearly activated by Victoria's behavior. "Their mother was so helpful with my daughter. I've been meaning to check on them." Victoria's eyes flickered with something dangerous. How thoughtful. But James specifically wanted them seated before the speeches begin. Perhaps later. She steered the twins away, her nails digging into their shoulders through their clothes. "What did I tell you about talking to people?" Victoria hissed. "One more stunt like that, and I'll have you sent home immediately." The twins exchanged glances. They needed a new plan. At 8 o'clock, the orchestra paused for the formal speeches. James took the stage to thank everyone for attending and to praise the hospital staff for their dedication. Victoria stood beside him, the picture of the supportive wife. She smiled and nodded at all the right moments, her performance flawless. Maya looked at Marcus. "This is our chance," she whispered, while everyone is focused on the stage. They slipped through the crowd toward the back of the ballroom where the sound system controls were located. A young technician sat at the mixing board, half watching the speeches. "Excuse me," Marcus said politely. "Our stepmother asked if we could play a video tribute. It's a surprise for our father." The technician looked uncertain. "I'd need authorization from the event coordinator." Maya put on her most innocent expression. "Victoria said to tell you it was already approved. It's supposed to be a Christmas surprise." The technician hesitated, then shrugged. "Okay, but make it quick. Hand me the drive." Marcus passed over the USB drive, his heart pounding. "Just wait for my signal," he said. On stage, James was wrapping up his speech. "And finally," he said, "I want to thank my beautiful wife Victoria for organizing this incredible evening. The last year has been difficult, but she's brought light back into my life." Victoria stepped forward, ready to take the microphone for her own speech. But before she could speak, Maya's voice rang out across the ballroom. "Stop. We have something to tell everyone." Every head in the ballroom turned toward the small girl standing on a chair near the back of the room. Marcus stood beside her, and the giant projection screen behind the stage flickered to life. "What is the meaning of this?" Victoria's voice cut through the shocked silence. "James, control your children." "Our mother didn't abandon us," Maya said loudly, her voice carrying across the room. "She was kidnapped, and the woman who did it is standing right there." She pointed directly at Victoria. On the projection screen, their mother's face appeared. The video began playing, Denise Sullivan's frightened voice filling the ballroom. "If you're watching this, something has happened to me. A woman named Victoria Ashford has been following me for months. I discovered she's connected to a series of financial crimes targeting wealthy widowers." Victoria's face drained of color. She lunged toward the stage controls, but Detective Morrison was already moving through the crowd toward her. "Stop that video," Victoria screamed. "It's a fake! Those children are disturbed." But the video continued playing. Document after document appeared on screen. Photographs of Victoria with the gray-haired man, bank transfers, death certificates from Boston, Philadelphia, Atlanta, the psychiatric commitment form for Denise Williams. "Our mother is alive," Marcus announced. "She's being held at Hartford Psychiatric Institute under a fake name. Victoria had her committed so she could take our father's money." James stood frozen on stage, his face a mask of horror as he processed what he was seeing. "Denise," he whispered, "she's alive?" Victoria made one final desperate attempt to escape, shoving past guests toward the exit. But Detective Morrison blocked her path, badge already in hand. "Victoria Ashford," Morrison said calmly, "or whatever your real name is, you're not going anywhere." "This is ridiculous," Victoria spat. "These are clearly fabricated documents. These children are disturbed. They need help." James descended from the stage, walking slowly toward his wife of 2 months. His face was ashen, his hands trembling. That's Denise's handwriting, he said quietly. In her journal entries, I would recognize it anywhere. He looked at Victoria with dawning horror. What did you do to my wife? Victoria's sophisticated facade finally cracked, her face contorted with rage. Your wife was going to ruin everything. She started investigating me. She found things she shouldn't have found. I had to stop her. The ballroom erupted in gasps and murmurs. Several guests had pulled out phones, recording the confession. Where is she? James demanded. Where is Denise? Hartford Psychiatric Institute, Victoria sneered. Room 312, under the name Denise Williams. She's been there for 7 months, sedated so heavily she probably doesn't even remember her own name anymore. Detective Morrison already had her phone out. I need units at Hartford Psychiatric Institute immediately. We have a kidnapping victim, room 312, patient named Denise Williams, real name Denise Sullivan, possible medical emergency. Victoria lunged at the twins, her face twisted with hatred. You little monsters! I worked too hard for this. Do you know how long I planned this? James stepped between Victoria and his children, his gentle surgeon's hands shoving her backward with surprising force. Don't you touch my children, he said, his voice ice cold. Detective Morrison moved forward with handcuffs. Victoria Ashford, you're under arrest for kidnapping, fraud, attempted murder, and false imprisonment. You have the right to remain silent. As Victoria was led away in handcuffs, screaming obscenities that shocked even the most worldly guests, James knelt before his children. I'm so sorry, he said, tears streaming down his face. I should have listened to you. I should have known your mother would never leave. Can you ever forgive me? Maya and Marcus looked at each other, then back at their father. Let's go get Mama, Maya said. Then we can talk about forgiving. Chapter 5. The drive to Hartford Psychiatric Institute felt eternal. Detective Morrison drove, James sat in the passenger seat staring straight ahead, and the twins huddled together in the back. Snow continued to fall, blanketing the Connecticut countryside in white. It's almost midnight, Marcus observed quietly. It'll be Christmas Day when we get there. And our birthday, Maya added. James turned to look at his children, his face ravaged by guilt. I almost lost you both. I almost gave you to that monster. But you didn't, Maya said simply. And now, we're going to bring Mama home. The Psychiatric Institute loomed ahead, a dark brick building surrounded by high fences. Police cars were already parked outside, their lights flashing red and blue against the falling snow. Detective Morrison led them through the entrance, where a flustered administrator was already explaining to uniformed officers that they had no patient named Denise Sullivan. Room 312, Morrison said firmly. Patient named Denise Williams. We have evidence she was committed fraudulently. The administrator's face paled as she checked her records. Williams, Denise. Yes, she's here. But her commitment papers were signed by Dr. Gerald Ashford. Gerald Ashford is Victoria's brother, Marcus said. He's not a real doctor. Take us to her, James demanded. Now. They walked through sterile hallways, their footsteps echoing on linoleum floors. The twins held their father's hands, all three trembling with anticipation. Room 312 was at the end of a long corridor. The administrator unlocked the door with shaking hands. The room was small and sparse, a narrow bed, a single chair, a tiny window showing falling snow, and sitting on the edge of the bed, her back to the door, was a thin woman with limp natural curls. Denise? James's voice cracked. The woman turned slowly. Her face was pale, her eyes clouded from months of heavy medication. She looked confused, lost, like someone waking from a terrible dream. James? Her voice was rusty from disuse. I keep dreaming about you. I keep dreaming about my babies. Mama! The twins broke free from their father and threw themselves at their mother. Denise's arms wrapped around them weakly, her medicated mind struggling to accept that this was real. My heart beat, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. My Christmas miracles. You found me. James approached slowly, falling to his knees beside the bed. He took his wife's hand in both of his own tears flowing freely. I'm so sorry, he said. I believed her. I believed you left. I should have known better. I should have searched for you. Denise touched his face with trembling fingers. Shh. You're here now. We're together. The attending physician rushed in, alerted to the emergency situation. He was horrified to learn that Denise's commitment had been based on forged documents from someone posing as a licensed psychiatrist. "She's been given strong sedatives for 7 months," he explained grimly. "We'll need to wean her off gradually, but with proper care, she should recover fully." "Can she come home for Christmas?" Maya asked, her voice small. The doctor hesitated, then nodded. "I'll arrange emergency discharge. She'll need outpatient care. But yes, she should be with her family." Christmas morning dawned clear and bright over West Hartford. The Sullivan family sat together in the living room, not the cold designer space Victoria had created, but a room hastily restored with family photographs and Denise's recovered artwork. Ms. Ernestine had worked through the night, pulling treasures from hiding places and restoring the home to what it had been. Denise was weak, her mind still clearing from 7 months of forced medication, but she was present. Real. Home. "Tell me everything," she said softly, her arms around her twins. "How did you figure it out?" The children took turns explaining their investigation, the suspicious behavior, the hidden tablet, the secret room, the folder of documents, the plan to expose Victoria at the gala. "You were so brave," Denise marveled, her eyes filling with tears. "My little detectives." James sat apart from his wife, his guilt creating a physical distance he didn't know how to bridge. Denise looked at him steadily. "We have a lot to work through." "I know." James's voice was raw. "I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I married the woman who imprisoned you. I almost let her send our children away to another country." "You believed a lie," Denise said slowly. "A lie told by a professional manipulator. I've been treating patients for years. I understand how these predators operate. They target people who are vulnerable, who are grieving, who are desperate for connection." She reached out her hand toward him. "The question is, what do we do now?" Maya spoke up, her voice firm despite her youth. "We be honest. That's what you always taught us, Mama. We tell the truth, even when it's hard, and we work together to fix things." Denise smiled through her tears. "When did you get so wise?" "We had a good teacher," Marcus replied. James crossed the room slowly and knelt before his wife. "I know I don't deserve it, but I'd like a chance to earn back your trust, to be the husband you deserve, to be the father our children deserve." Denise looked at her family, her husband on his knees, her children watching with hope in their eyes. "It won't be easy," she said finally. "We have a long road ahead, but this family is worth fighting for." The twins threw their arms around both their parents, creating a group embrace. Ms. Ernestine watched from the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Outside, church bells began to ring, announcing Christmas morning. Inside, a family was slowly, painfully, beautifully learning to trust again. 6 months later. The weeks following Christmas brought challenges and healing in equal measure. Victoria Ashford was charged with multiple felonies: kidnapping, fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Her brother Gerald, posing as Dr. Ashford, was arrested as an accomplice. Investigators connected them to similar schemes in 4 other states, with ongoing investigations into the suspicious deaths of Victoria's previous victims. Denise underwent intensive outpatient treatment, her mind slowly clearing from months of unnecessary sedation. She had nightmares. She sometimes forgot where she was, but every day she grew stronger. James reduced his surgical schedule to spend more time with his family. He and Denise attended couples therapy, working to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks and arguments and tears, but they were fighting for their family, and that made all the difference. The twins started their own project, a video series explaining to other children how to spot warning signs when a new person enters their family. Their first video, titled "Trust Your Feelings: A Kid's Guide to Staying Safe," went viral after a local news station featured their story. 3 months after Christmas, the Sullivan family attended the preliminary hearing for Victoria Ashford. The courtroom was packed with reporters and spectators drawn by the sensational case. Victoria, stripped of her designer clothes and perfect makeup, looked haggard in her orange jumpsuit, but her eyes still glittered with cold calculation as she glared at the family she had nearly destroyed. Maya and Marcus sat between their parents, holding hands. When Victoria's gaze fell on them, Maya lifted her chin and stared back without flinching. After the hearing, which resulted in Victoria being denied bail, the family gathered outside the courthouse. "Is it over?" Marcus asked. "The criminal part is moving forward," Detective Morrison assured them. "Victoria and Gerald will be in prison for a very long time." "But our family is just beginning," Denise added, pulling her children close. "We have so much rebuilding to do." That evening, the Sullivan family gathered for dinner at their dining room table, restored now with Denise's beloved Romer Bearden print and the Tiffany lamp James had rescued from the garage. "I think we should start a new tradition," Denise suggested. "Every Sunday dinner, we each share one thing we're grateful for and one truth we've learned." James went first. "I'm grateful for second chances I don't deserve, and I've learned that love means really listening, not just hearing what you want to hear," Maya considered carefully. "I'm grateful for Ms. Ernestine hiding Mama's things, and I've learned that children can help solve grown-up problems if adults will just believe us." "I'm grateful for my sister," Marcus said, "and I've learned that keeping good notes can literally save lives." Everyone laughed, the first real family laughter in months. Denise's voice was thick with emotion. "I'm grateful to be home with my heartbeat, and I've learned that even in the darkest place, hope survives." She looked at each face around the table, her husband scarred by guilt but fighting to be better, her children forced to grow up too fast but still capable of joy, Ms. Ernestine loyal and brave through everything. "We're going to be okay," Denise said softly. "Not because the hard part is over, because it isn't, but because we're facing it together." 6 months later, the Denise Sullivan Foundation for Family Protection opened its doors in downtown Hartford. The organization provided resources for families affected by predatory relationships and financial fraud, with a special focus on helping children recognize dangerous situations. Maya and Marcus continued their children's safety video series, which had grown to over 50,000 subscribers. They received letters from children around the world who had used their advice to identify warning signs in their own families. Victoria Ashford was convicted on 17 counts and sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. Gerald Ashford received 30 years. Investigators connected them to at least 2 deaths that were reclassified from accidents to homicides based on evidence uncovered during the trial. Dr. James Sullivan reduced his surgical schedule permanently to spend more time with his family. He and Denise renewed their marriage vows on their anniversary in a small ceremony with only the twins and Ms. Ernestine present. As for Maya and Marcus, they remained first and foremost 8-year-old children. They played, they argued over toys, they complained about homework and begged for later bedtimes. But they also knew, in ways most children their age couldn't understand, that family is worth fighting for. That truth matters. That even the smallest voices can expose the biggest lies. And every Christmas Eve, when their birthday candles were lit and wishes were made, Maya and Marcus Sullivan wished for the same thing, that their family would stay together, honest and strong, that other children in danger would find their courage, and that love would always be stronger than deception. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. From all of us at Dear Love Diaries, we'll see you in the next story.